almost anybody can get a Google listing, but not everybody can keep one.
Welcome to Pet Sitter Confessional, an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter. Today, we're brought to you by our friends at Time to Pet and the Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets YouTube channel. Google as a business owner is one of the most important factors of getting our names out there. And there are good things that we need to be doing with Google, and there are some things we need to make sure that we are avoiding, both from an SEO perspective as well as the Google business profile. And so to cover these topics, we are super excited to have Amy Toman, owner of Pet Sitter SEO, back on the show to talk about these topics and how we can be implementing some best practices. Amy, I'm super excited to have you back on the show and talking about these because it's more important than ever these days. For those who haven't listened to your previous episodes, I'm going to have links to those in the show notes so people can just stop listening to this, go listen to those, and then come back to this. But could you tell us a little bit more about who you are and kind of what you do?
Sure. I started in the pet sitting world in about 2015. I started my own business, Pet Sitter SEO, in 17. I've been doing that. Wow, that makes it almost 8 years of doing that. And I have also, during the last 5 years, I started volunteering on the Google Business Profile Forum. And I'm now, they kind of, as you move up in levels and knowledge and in participation, you get badges. And so I've got the top badge right now, which is Diamond. Wow. And which means not only that I've done a lot, but also that I have a lot of knowledge on a lot of different topics. So here I am.
And you got a cool Google jacket too. So that speaks volumes.
I do. Yeah. Now I'm waiting for the hat. I've got a couple water bottles. I could use those, but
okay.
Right now I just love the jacket.
Well, so yeah, let's dive into the Google business profile there. How I see this word a lot about as far as optimizing the profile. From your perspective, what does it mean to optimize? And then how can we be doing that for the hyper local searches that we need as a business?
It's an excellent question, and I love the term hyperlocal because there's just so much that goes into that. The answer to that, Google listings, and I'll go specifically. I will target your mention of hyperlocal at this point. Google listings are essential for businesses these days. People can go on about which platform, and politics and social and whatever, but to be honest, Google's the elephant in the room. You can say that you disagree with certain things, but the end result is if you don't have a Google business profile, you're missing out on at least half of your audience who could be contacting you. Localization, local optimization, the best, and what you said about hyperlocal, that specifically refers to Google listings because of the way they promote businesses. A lot of people don't realize that whether your address shows or not, then most pet sitters, it doesn't and it shouldn't, just to comply with Google's rules. Most Google listings will only recommend you in a small area around your address. So for me, I live about a mile, maybe a little less, maybe about half a mile from the ocean. So going east, they don't recommend me that much. Going west, north, and south, they recommend me a lot. But again, they only recommend you within a really, if you imagine you're at the centroid, I love that word, the centroid of a circle. You're only going to be recommended in the areas anywhere from 2 to 5 miles, people usually say. And that's all depending on your on the population in your area. Okay, so if you live in an area like mine, which is New Jersey, I think we're number 2 in population density. We just have a lot of people, and it's nice in my area. But still, because of that, you would not find a business that is based, let's say in my town, you would not see them recommend 3 miles away. You just won't, because their Google, they adjust it to the area. Now, if you live in an area, say out in, I'm guessing the Dakotas or Colorado or Utah, where there isn't a large amount of population, Google's going to recommend you further. That circle is going to be further out so that they can catch people who are in those kind of lesser populated areas. Optimizing your Google listing is something. It's kind of almost a second. Like it's not necessarily connected with what I just said. Google listings to be optimized. The best thing you can do right now is follow the rules and interact frequently. When I say follow the rules, there are specific guidelines that if you don't follow them, at some point, somehow they're going to figure that out and they're going to suspend you, or they're going to ask you to verify yourself. To verify usually means they want you to do a video. And if you've not followed the rules and you don't have a legit address, that usually ends up being problematic. And I see questions all the time. I did this at this place. Can I verify? No. Can I, I set myself up at a co-working space and I'm at a community desk. Can I do it? No. Post office box? No. Mailboxes, etc. UPS? No, you can't use those. So it's good to look at Google's guidelines on how to set up a Google listing. Okay, because setting them up, and it usually has to do with both the title and the address. If you set those up accurately and comply with Google's rules, you got a great head start. And then after that, it's just optimizing different things like putting up nice photos and getting reviews and, making sure the services that they add actually, that you add and they add actually pertain to your business. For example, I had an attorney who was being seen for medical malpractice. There was only one problem. They didn't do medical malpractice, but Google had added that in the services. So you have to keep an eye on when Google makes their helpful updates, because often they're not. So just looking in on your listing and being, like I said, right now, Google loves interaction. They want to know that your business is alive and well. And so set it and forget it is no longer a thing. It just isn't.
Well, and I want to touch on the video to verify, because I think many of us set up our businesses and verified when they would send little postcards. And so, but what I see, okay. So, but what I'm hearing is, if you trigger something, they may ask you to re-verify. And that's the point that catches a lot of people, where all of a sudden, not all of the ducks are in that row and they're kind of left scrambling.
That's very cute. Yeah, scrambling and ducks and eggs. Yeah, I was very impressed by that. Yeah, see what happens, this is what I was saying about the addresses, because I have seen, read every kind of question you can think of about, I can't do it. I provide services. The general thing is I provide services at my clients' locations. And then people will say things like, and so I recorded a video at today's client. It's like, no. Or I had one woman who was lovely, but she sent something along and I felt so bad because she obviously didn't understand. She had said she had used a P.O. box. So she videotaped herself walking, showing the outside of the post office, the sign, walking in through the door, going to her box, opening her box, taking her. And I was like, no. The way it's supposed to go is, now, first assuming that you are using a legit address, okay? If you're using a legit address, which is one of two things, it's either a storefront, like a leased office that has, signage, something like that, or you're using your house. There's nothing wrong with using your house. Google is cool with that. Obviously, you're cool with it, but totally fine. So what would happen is you need to, in most cases of a video verification, and I'm going to assume that your address does not show on your listing because you did it at your house. What you do most of the time is you stand outside, and I hope people are taking notes on this because this is seriously how it goes. You stand outside with your phone. You are going to make sure that you have a workspace set up in your place, wherever that is, that, your office. So maybe you'll have your laptop up. You have maybe insurance paperwork, your LLC, things like that. You'll have a leash. You'll have a dog crate. You'll have things around that make it look like, this is a workspace and this is a job you do. Also, and I had a great conversation with a gentleman from Germany today. Apparently, I just changed with something I mentioned. I apparently just changed how all of the German product experts approach this topic, which is you can use your iPhone or you can use your Android. Just make sure that Google is able to, wherever that you have location services on. Right? That's something people don't think about, but you have to have location services on when you start this. Then when you start the video, you're going to look left, you're going to look right. If there's a street sign, Google wants to see the street sign. Then you're going to slowly turn around and then you're going to look at your location. If it's your home, if it's a house, let's just follow from that. But if you live in an apartment, adjust from this. So you walk in, you're going to show, first of all, before you walk in, if there's a sign that shows your house number, you want to show that. If you have a vehicle that is wrapped, and I will tell you some tips, remind me at the end, some tips on this. But if you have a vehicle that is wrapped in any way, just has your business name on it or whatever that you use frequently, you also should go over to that before you walk in the house. Go over to that, maybe show the front, show the signage. If you keep the things in either in the way back, as we call it, lift the hatch, show that on camera, show the tools of the trade, right? Okay, so close that up. You've done that. You want to walk over to the front door or whichever door to get into the house. You want to let them see you opening the door. Okay. And when I say that, I mean with a key or a code, but the camera should go down and you should see your hand doing it. Walk in, walk to your place of business and, show them the computer. Maybe you have your scheduling software on there. Maybe you have your other documents sitting around. Again, leashes, crates, things like that. And then once you show that, you just kind of skim everything and that would be the end. Things to remember. And I give these out every day. Keep it 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes, which I know some people will say, I can't do that. Well, try. The next one is no narration. No narration. You do not sit down. You do not talk. It just should be the video. And the other thing that people don't know, which I was shocked by, which I was like, those you see like, yeah, she was shocked by this revelation. Don't show anyone's faces. I have heard, and I don't know if it's still true because these things evolve day by day, that if Google sees a face, they will automatically reject it. I don't know if that's still true. Maybe that was just true last year when I first heard it from Google. But I'm just telling you, 2 minutes, location services on, no narration, and don't show faces.
Wow.
So those are videos. But again, this is presuming a couple things. This is presuming that you are using the address correctly, meaning that you're using a legitimate address within Google's guidelines. And that also assumes that that you don't have your address. Your address doesn't show on your listing. If your address shows on your listing, meaning that and that should only happen when you have a storefront. Right? Maybe you have something in a strip mall. Maybe you have an office upstairs somewhere. Maybe you have it on property somewhere. Well, then what you need to do is you need to make sure that there's a sign there. The address may be totally legit, but it cannot show on your Google listing unless there is a sign. And I've seen tons of people like, I can't get verified. I can't get this. I can't get that. Well, the first thing is, do you have a sign? No. Does your address show on your Google listing? Yes. That's why Google wants to see your sign in the video. So if you don't show your address, they're not going to ask to see your sign. If you do show your address, you need to show the sign. If you don't have a sign, you need to turn off the address in the settings on your Google listing. So that's the video.
Yeah. Well,
You don't need to know anything more. Don't talk to anybody else. We're done on that topic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and it is one of those things of because it can be pretty opaque to get that kind of detail. I think that's why a lot of people get frustrated when it's like, okay, I set it up one time and I'm busy doing my business and my work, and then something happens, and then we get thrown into trying to figure this stuff out, and that's again where I see a lot of people's frustrations come from.
Well, I've got one that I completely forgot, and this is a biggie. And it's funny because once I mention this, people never come back to me. So I'm hoping it means that it's legit and it helps. Avoid, especially if you found yourself having to do things 2 or 3 or 4 times, like keep uploading and it doesn't upload. Avoid US East Coast working hours during the week. Avoid 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. New York City time.
Huh.
I have heard people, it's funny because I at first thought I was the only one doing that. Like I said, people don't come back to me. So my assumption is it works. Well, I started seeing another product expert who has a lot more experience than me. And he says the same thing. Avoid East Coast US working hours, during weekdays. Because for whatever reason, maybe that the servers are in that time zone for whatever reason, and maybe everybody tries to do it during those hours, and that's why the uploads are sometimes problematic. Again, I have no way of knowing one way or the other, but I will tell you that most people, when I tell them that, they don't come back. It's like, well, that must have worked then. I don't know. Fine.
Well, so you mentioned, you mentioned the importance of interacting on your Google profile there. What does that mean? Is that just uploading and commenting, or what other kind of interactions can we have on our profile?
Well, uploading and commenting are the best things. Commenting would be responding to reviews. See, I always say go in at least once a week, but it's responding to reviews. It's services, looking at your services, editing them, adding some, taking some away, refining the ones that are there, that sort of thing. Google products, you want to make sure that you have Google products on. That's not really an interaction thing, but and posts. Posts are something that don't get a lot of respect. And every once in a while, somebody will tell me, oh, they're going away. And I'm like, no, they're not. Google will tell, Google has not indicated that at any time. They just haven't. So, but that's one thing. But honestly, the two things that I think are the best are pulling in new positive reviews on a regular basis. There's literally a tool that I have added now to my Google Business Profile audits. I give you a diagram that shows you what your when you've received these. So it's like recency or consistency. It shows you when reviews have come in. So if I see like a whole bunch of reviews, then I see nothing, and then a few bunch, no, you really want to have them come in on a consistent basis, because again, that shows Google that you are legit, that you are still operational, that you haven't just kind of walked away. That's a big thing. And then the thing that I like, that I think is the easiest overall, is photos. I've talked a lot about photos, and I will continue to do so, because I think that they're slowly starting to get there. I think they're getting more appreciation. Google right now, not 100%, but Google can really tell what's in an image right now. Okay. Like if I uploaded a screenshot of you right now, and your shirt, for those who are listening but not watching, your shirt says dog person. Love that. If I were to upload that, Google would know exactly what the words are. They would. But they would also know that it's on a t-shirt. If there were other words on your sleeve, they would know what those are. They would know that there is a brick wall behind you. They will know that, that there's this, that there's that there's a microphone in front of Colin. And they would know, like, what is his face? Happy, sad, full of joy. That's one of the words I saw showing. And they will look at all of that. So think about if I uploaded a photo of you that also had a dog in it. And that dog was running around like crazy and it was kind of maybe even blurry. Well, Google also knows that. It knows that it's a dog. It usually can even tell you the breed, and it can tell you kind of what it's doing. And if you think about that, what sort of things do you want Google to know about your business? If you only deal with cats and you're basically like a cat sitter, you do cat care, whatever, have you phrased that? You want to show, I mean, if you think normally, if I don't tell you anything about what Google can see or not, you say, well, I'm only going to show photos of a cat. Why? So humans can see that cats are what I do. Well, it's the same thing. Google, because they can now tell if you have one page and you're with your services, you don't even have like specialty pages. If you have one page with your services and you have both dog walking and cat care, if the majority of the photos you upload to the Google listing are dogs, they're probably going to give you more attention for that. But if you do dog walking, but tons of cat care and tons of cat photos, they might give you more attention for cats, even though cats is not a Google primary category. So what I'm saying is, because Google can tell what's in your photos, it's good to upload them on a regular basis. Just to be, just to have more information going in there consistently. But B, because the content of those images is going to educate Google and other people about the services you provide. And when I say the services, I mean, if you walk dogs, don't just show photos of dogs. Show photos of humans walking dogs. Maybe if you have special vehicle, maybe you take them somewhere. Show the vehicle, like the contents of the vehicle, then show the vehicle with the dogs and cats or whoever inside. If you do wedding attendant, show the dogs and cats, or I should say the dogs for the most part. Show them before, show them after if they get dressed up for any reason, if they have maybe a special bow or something, right? And make sure that you're kind of giving Google an idea, like maybe you have a little bunch of photos of you sitting there caring for them, getting them all ready, grooming them, putting this on and smiling, looking this way, looking that way, but illustrate the services that you provide, because Google learns from them. People learn from them, obviously, but Google is now learning from them. And if they can sit there and they can classify what you're doing, that's going to add to this big ball. Like, if you ever think of like a word cloud, the word cloud that Google creates, they call this an entity. And just think, the photos are going to add something into that, right? If you're showing only photos of cats, that Google now knows, even if you didn't tell them in words, that what you do is deal with cats. If it's only cats, they're kind of wondering, what about cats do you do? Yeah. But if it shows you, like putting down bowls, doing this, doing that, then you have a really good example for Google. You're giving them a good portrayal of what you do and what your services are. So photos, if you're going to go into something like every week, I would say add a couple photos every time would win.
Have you heard of Time to Pet? Chris Ann from Raining Cats and Dogs has this to say.
Becoming a Time to Pet client has been a game changer for us. We can give our pet services clients real-time, cloud-based information they never imagined they'd be interested in. And most importantly, to me personally, I can better manage my company and look forward to more. And not a small thing, Time to Pet is responsive to my requests for new features and modifications to existing ones.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Listeners of our show will save 50% off your first 3 months by visiting timetopet.com/confessional. I love you that phrase when you said the images, the content is helping to educate Google. And I think often we forget kind of what the heck is going on here. Google is a product, and its job is to surface relevant information for people searching. Google wants to make sure that when they provide those little blue links, that it is exactly what that person is searching for. And they don't know anything about my business, right? I'm the one who has to go in and say, this is what I do. Now, like you've talked about, Amy, it tries to infer and kind of guess and read between the lines, but it's using data from your website, from the profile, from the photos, from this stuff, from what we're adding. to build that what you call the entity, so that when somebody searches, what are we going to show up or not, right? So feeding it good information is our responsibility.
100%, because AI, it's funny because a lot of people talk about this with AI. It's helpful if you use an account with AI, because what you do is through your various searches over time, and they will do, they'll give you a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever, so that you can rank kind of their output, because you're teaching this algorithm that they have to give you the answers that you're looking for. It's the same thing with Google. Google, the more you tell them, the positive information you tell them about your services, your location, where you, again, the things that you do, the more information that you give them, the better, because they want to recommend the best person in the area. They're not going to recommend somebody whose website was put up 10 years ago and never touched since. They want to recommend people who are, alive and,
Step one. Yeah.
I tell people this occasionally, but in 2017, I actually got a call from somebody who said that their listing, when they were told by somebody that when they went to not the Google listing, but their website, that it had a funny message on it. So I looked at it. I saw the funny message. I said to the person, can I call it was GoDaddy. Can I call them on your behalf? And she said, that's fine. I just want to get this fixed. And it turned out that the website had been uploaded to GoDaddy 10 years prior and had never once been updated in the following 10 years. So I went back to her and I said, look, I found out what it was built on. It's something that's kind of old now. People don't really use it. Do you want me to find you a developer? And she was like, she took care of it, and she basically said no. But that's what I'm talking about. You don't want to set it and forget it. That may have been the thing when you set your Google listing up initially, but you can't these days. You have to go in there at least once a week and interact with it somehow.
Well, let's talk about those reviews, because I see a lot of people who's just purely obsessed about the number of reviews. But you said something that's a little counterintuitive of the consistency of getting those reviews. How best practices here, Amy, for getting those reviews, and kind of how we bring those into our business without violating any policies.
Yeah, let's start with that. Don't offer anything. Do not offer anything. Don't offer anything in a group. Don't offer anything on your social. Just don't offer anything. Because if Google finds out about that, that's called incentivizing. And if somebody reports you, then you will have those reviews removed. Maybe not all of them, but a good chunk. So you don't want to do that. Yelp, you can't. Google, you can ask for reviews. Yelp, you cannot even do that. So you can say to people, hey, I would love it if you would leave me a review on, whichever platform. And could you mention, I always tell people to ask people to mention their services or their location where they provided it. Those are usually the most helpful. And just in terms of bringing in reviews, you can ask people for them. It's totally cool. Like I said, if I have my way, I would kind of coach people and mention those things. But Google looks at things like sentiment. Again, there's only two diagrams I have in the new version, because I completely updated my Google listing audits. And the second one is keyword analysis. And I keep thinking, if I can do this in a free tool, well, it's not free, but if I can do this in a tool, you really don't think that Google's doing this? So you want to have reviews on a regular basis. Maybe you get one this week, two next week, of 2 weeks after. That's cool. You don't want to just have great stretches where you don't get any, because Google, again, wants to make sure that you're a legit business. And, it shouldn't be that hard to get them. I know people tell me all the time, I work with senior citizens, which to me is no excuse anymore, because you know what? Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody does. Even if they're, 85, they still have a smartphone these days. But I know they're hard to get, so I know how much, I appreciate them. I will say that. So you need to make it a priority, because right now, other than the three top things, if anybody asks me, the three most important elements of a Google listing: title, number of review, in this order: title, I would say location, title, and number of reviews. And again, it's not the number. You want to have consistency, and you want to have positive sentiment, right? I've seen some that again, I've put recently in reviews, these photos where people will they'll mention things like love, love my dog, or my cat, or my, pet. And those are things you want in there to show that, these people perceive you as treating their pets well. So it's a mix, like with everything with Google. It seems very simple, get more reviews than the next guy. Yeah, but no. If they have 100 reviews and you have 80, but 15 of their reviews have no text, guess who might win? Not them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of going on. So
yeah, and like you said, it's building in that habit as the business owner. If you have a manager, if you have a team member, like once a week, sit down, look back through who you served that week and see if they've left your review. It does take tracking on our part, but you can have a script that you develop and you send it out to them and say, hey, wonderful caring for Fluffy. We're always looking, for support. If you have time, please leave a review, XY, thank you very much.
And provide them a link.
Keep asking.
Provide them a link,
yes.
right? Do make it as easy as possible. Don't have anybody have to work to do what you're asking them to do. Yeah. That's a big thing on I would think.
Yeah, from the ease of use of your customers there, they just want to click a blue link and go over there, type it up, and send. And it's just consistently asking, and eventually you do start to accumulate them. And it's just kind of being diligent in that process.
One of the things that I know sometimes is pet sitters will say, especially if it's a pet sitter, I guess dog walkers too, but people who stay over a few days. You leave a piece of paper and just, whether it's a flyer or something, that's a good space to leave a QR code too.
Mm.
To make it easier for people, just to say, hey, by the way, and then you have the QR code over there, and those people who come back from vacation or work or whatever, they just scan that puppy and your listing comes up, and there you go.
Mm. Well, not to get scary here, but I think there's a word that we haven't mentioned yet about Google profiles here, and it's the suspended word for these. What are some of the most common reasons that you see people getting suspended? And I think importantly here, how do we avoid this?
Okay, I have mentioned them before. I will put them in this context: your title and your address.
Yeah.
Don't add words into your title for which you do not have business documentation. If your name is Bob's Dog Walking, and you decide that you also want to be known for pet sitting in your city, and you add those, Google, if you're reported, well, two things will happen. Either somebody will just go in and suggest an edit and get rid of those words, which often is the case, and they won't even tell you, it'll just happen. Or you get suspended. You can get suspended for that. For address, that's a big honking issue. That's the one I see more than anything else. You want to make sure that your address, if your address shows, you have signs. So you say, how is Google going to know if I have that? Street View, kids. Google will look at Street View. And even if the Street View is, say, 3 years old, if they don't see a sign and you didn't post your sign in the photos on your listing, guess what? Somebody reports you, the chances of you going down are, pretty strong. So if you have a location that has signage, with your business name, one of the best things you can do is you put that into your photos, so that if people are looking, they're going to see that, and they're going to say, "Oh no, they're legit. They're legit." Best thing to do for your if you have an issue with your listing title, is if you want to change it, and I've advised this, it's funny because I have a different opinion now about this than I did when I first started. When I first started, it was like, just be careful, just stick to the business name. Now my line is, but if you found a better one, like say you went in and you added some stuff and you're like, wow, more people are seeing me, I get better visibility. Well, guess what? If you're in the US, go and get yourself a DBA, alt name, fictitious name, whatever. So that if you ever get suspended, if everything else is in the name of your registered business, which is usually an LLC, and you have a DBA, you're golden. The problem is if you haven't registered your business at all and you get suspended, then you're screwed. Don't do that. But, and also if you're listening outside the US, just do the equivalent. Okay. I know some places you don't have to register your business name, but make sure that you have the business name registered on paperwork. As long as you have that or can get that, again, you can use whatever title you want, but just make sure that you have paperwork for that.
Yeah,
that's suspension. Those are the ones I see most frequently.
I often see people who say, well, do I really need to get the LLC? Do I really need to get these things, right? And some instances, and I'm glad Amy was sitting down when I said that, because, but sure, it's a good, just basic business practice to have all of your paperwork. But as you start to want to add these things and do the Google business profile and you need all of that back-end support and paperwork to prove it. And I think what happens is we get by with it one time and we think, oh, I'm golden. They'll never come back around if I got verified that one time, or if they're not going to look at me. But they're trying to categorize the global data every second of every day. They're a bit busy, right? They may take a little bit to get to you. So just be ready, right? As professional pet sitters and dog walkers, we know that some pets struggle with anxiety, whether it's thunderstorms, fireworks, or just being home alone for the first time. But did you know that calming music can actually help them relax? That's why so many pet pros turn to peaceful pet music, calm music for pets on YouTube. This channel is packed with soothing melodies and nature sounds designed to create a peaceful environment for pets. Sitters and walkers use it during visits to help calm anxious pets, and it's perfect for your own furry companions too. Want to help your clients? Share the channel with them, or just start playing it on their TV before you leave. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new relaxing moment. Give every pet, including yours, a little more peace in their day with peaceful pet music, calm music for pets on YouTube.
Well, here's the thing, okay? I say this, I will say this to everybody. Almost anybody can get a Google listing, but not everybody can keep one. And here's why. Google, you just used to sign up for it. They'd send you a parse card. You were done. But then the spammers and the scammers entered the picture. Okay. So now it's, if you register for Google listing, they then want you to either do to verify it. They either want you to do a video or a phone call or an email. The two at the bottom, the phone call and the email, those are rarely options. Even for existing businesses, they're rarely options. You usually have to do a video. And then again, going back to which address you use and how to do a video and all. But you have to have paperwork, okay? Because Google does not want to recommend you if you're just like a hobby, I've heard this term a lot, hobby sitter. Okay. If you're a hobby dog walker, if you're somebody who doesn't do it that frequently, well, guess what? This is what kind of separates what the men from the boys, the puppies from the big doggies. You need to have a legit business to have a Google listing. This is why all those like rover people who used to be on there, they're not on there anymore, because Google asked them to verify, they couldn't, and there you go. Yeah. So what I recommend every pet sitter to have before you start the Google listing, okay, is you get, and again, I'm doing this for people in the US. but I know people in Canada, Australia, England, and wherever, please just get the equivalent. Especially in the UK, because y'all don't have business registrations. So again, just kind of do the equivalent here. What you generally need is you need paperwork from authoritative bodies. And when I say that, I mean things like tax authorities, governments, banks, insurance agencies. In the UK, I've had luck with digital phone contracts. So what you want to do, and the ones I standard say for the US are an LLC, an IRS EIN letter, not just the number, the letter, insurance certificate, licenses if they're applicable, meaning it could be a business license, but it could be something else, but it has to be, from an authoritative body. Bank statement, credit card statement. Sometimes it could be a utility bill if you have the utility bill in the name of the business. Speaking of which, whatever you present, 100% everything has to be in the name of the business. It cannot be the name of a human. The human can be on there, but the most important part, in the name of the business. And it has to have the same address that you use to register for the Google listing. So one thing I know that people sometimes come to me about is they say, well, I used a registered agent for my LLC. I say, okay, can't. It has to be your home address. And they were like, well, I mean, that's at the registered agents. I'm like, doesn't matter. Google wants this paperwork to support your name, your business name, and your address. So, I will get kick feedback, and I'm like, oh well, I'm sorry, you can't use that. Or if you have paperwork that is sometimes registered to the business and some of it's registered to you, like your personal bank account, things like that, doesn't matter. They want you to have one to all be in the name of the business with the same address. And that address, like I just so you know, because this is something that's come up as well. People have said to me, if my address doesn't show, does it matter if I use any of those that are not legit? Yes, it does. And this is the time when it's proven. If your listing is suspended, they're going to look at the address that you say you use. They definitely don't want those ones that I mentioned. Homes are great. Offices are great, but not the ones. And this, at this stage with your paperwork, is when Google really sees where you are. So suspensions are not fun. I realize that, but the thing that's going to expedite you coming back is having enough paperwork and having it all in the name of the business and using the same address that you used to create the Google listing. And I will point out too, if the address didn't show on the Google listing and if you entered it in the Google listing, you have to do that to start a Google listing, and you turn it off. When you turn it back on, that address is not there. So you have to make sure that you remember what address you used, because Google ain't going to tell you. I know. Colin's like, he's going to go over to his chair.
Well,
I love that.
I see a lot of people who are concerned about, I'm going to say, like, messing with their listing too much. I know you said kind of once a week. Do we run the risk of triggering this kind of, review of our listing when we're messing with the services or adding a bunch of things or changing things at all? Or is that kind of just, that's something we shouldn't even worry about? Just make sure that those are taken care of.
That is a really, really, really good question. Should we have like red flags up about that? What you do not want to do is you do not, without doing prior, like laying groundwork, you do not want to touch the primary elements. So if you're adding photos, totally cool. Maybe even changing your cover image, again, totally cool. Adding posts, looking at services, answering reviews, that's all good. What's not good is if you decide to go in and change your title and your address and your phone number and your Google and your website. You do all of those in quick succession, you are taking the train to suspension land, and it ain't stopping until you get there. Because if you change too many things in a row, that does set off Google's trigger, but what you don't, it's not for what you think. They're doing that to protect you because that's what spammers do. They can sometimes get into your listing or claim your listing, and then the first thing they do, excuse me, is they try to change those elements.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of okay, I'm going to go in and change one day or change it, every couple hours kind of thing, but at least or just not even that fast. Okay,
no.
I'll slow down here.
No. And here's the thing. You don't make those changes until you make them elsewhere first. So you say to me, wait, what? Okay, first, say if you're going to change your title. Say you went out and you said, no, this is better. I want to have and dog walking, okay? The way you do that is that you go out. You get your DBA. And I'm sorry, I know this isn't specifically what you asked, but you get your DBA. You go and update every directory that you're in, okay? For your insurance company, for PSI, for NAPS, update them all to the new title. Update your social accounts for the title. Last thing, you update, well, it doesn't have to be, but your website. All of those get updated to the new title. If you need to, sometimes you may need to update your logo. But anyway, do all of that first. And then go in and update your Google listing, because they're going to go out and verify. They usually say it'll take anywhere from 10 minutes to forever to verify. But what they're doing is they're going out there and they're making sure that the information that you have posted is public elsewhere. Because they want to make sure that somebody hasn't stolen your listing.
And when we have that proof, again, it sounds very weighty, and I think people don't. I think they discount like that. And you said that phrase earlier of almost anyone can get one of these. It's hard to keep it because the rules and regulations, the policies around these are actually really strict and specific when we're doing this, and we do have to abide by these. And if we don't have all of that backed up, they're not going to let you pass, and and they're not going to lift that suspension. So I think that's just a really important thing to remember for us when we go about these things.
Oh yeah, because Google is if you think about it, they're making these. First of all, everybody has to remember they're making these rules globally. So, like I was saying before about paperwork in the UK, Google is asking for the same paperwork for reinstatements that they ask everywhere else, except for one thing. In the US, they ask for LLCs or C corps or something like that to support the title, but they don't have business registration like that in the UK. And they don't have licenses the same way. And it's not just there. It's also Eastern Europe. I know there's somebody in, I want to say, Ukraine, Poland, places like that. Business registrations are not a thing. A lot of times businesses are registered in the owner's name, and that's it. So you have to remember that a lot of times the rules may not make sense to you, but they're trying to apply these on a global level. And also, they're also trying to protect people to some degree too. Like I said before, if you change 4 things in a row, that trips a trigger, but the trigger that it's tripping is this may be somebody who just stole this listing. So that's why you don't do 4 of them in a row, because that's telling Google this is a sign of, suspicious activity. So in their corporate amazingness, they are trying to protect you.
Well, I know one thing that a lot of people are turning to try and be more consistent with their listings, and it's also just really popular right now, is the use of AI in running our businesses. From your perspective, Amy, how should we go about using this? Guide rails, any kind of advice that you can give us in implementing AI and those tools in either the listing itself or on our website? You can take it from there because it's a big topic.
The first thing I want to say in general is AI should be, not AI, like ChatGPT. Let's just use that as a generic at this point. You don't take their text straight from that. You should use that text as inspiration and then go in and personalize it. A few of the things that I should say the one biggest one that I will say I use it every week on is creating Google Business Profile posts. I have a really good prompt that I'm happy with. And, everybody needs to kind of get that prompt. Again, teaching the system to output what you want. And I use it for that because I have gotten it to the point where it's using the business name in there, and it's using a service in there, and it's referring to, I give it a page that it goes to, and it kind of creates text from that, using that page as like a basis. And when I look at the output, I make sure that the output has the specific terms either that I asked for or that should be in there. And then I will load them up. And you can, if you have a social media scheduler, they can be used for that as well. Whether you're doing it on your Google listing or elsewhere. But that's what I use it for. I use it for Google Business Profile posts. That's something that I think would be interesting because you could do like 24 of those. You could just sit there and do yourself a marathon and, change use different pages. So sometimes it'll go to your homepage, then it'll go to your services page, then it'll go to a specific services page, then it'll go to your service area page, then it'll go to the different service areas, location pages that you have. And then we start over again, or then we go to the contact page, or we go to the about page. And then you start over. You've just created 24, boom, you did it twice a week. You just posted twice a month for 12 months. You win. And how long did that take? An hour, maybe an hour and a half. So for that, I use it. I haven't seen other uses for it yet. But the one thing I will say is, if you are using something like ChatGPT, just make sure that whatever it outputs, you don't just cut and paste. You make sure that it is specific to what you are either talking about or linking to, because some of these people don't understand. Things just look really bad sometimes, and they look unnatural. But I mean, you have to understand what the basis of ChatGPT and the others is. They are coming up with this based on what has already been published. So it's not new. It's just a kind of just a giant ball of, again, like a salad. So you have to make sure that salad actually makes sense. It has the right dressing. It has the, right kind of tomatoes and all this. You have to make sure that what is coming out is appropriate for you to be using and doesn't look like it's been created by, AI.
Well, and I've heard people discussing whether Google was going to be downgrading or downregulating AI-generated content, and to whether avoid it completely entirely or to use it just a little bit. It sounds like, from your perspective of going, that content idea generation, that ideation, that thinking, then the processing of making it your own, kind of avoids that entire conversation entirely.
Yeah, because they've said that they do not mind it on there. They've said that flat out. I hate to say it. I can't remember if they've said it publicly or privately, but they don't mind it. But I think what they're doing also is just making sure that, like, you're not posting the exact same thing in 11,000 places. They also, I think they're also looking to see how the public takes it. If you're posting content that was created by an AI generation engine, and you're not customizing it, you're not personalizing it, it's probably not going to go over as well with humans. And that's what I think Google's looking to, before they make any grand statements, I think that's what they're looking to see, what the reaction is.
Because, again, they're trying to anticipate what the humans are going to be doing and what they're actually interested, so they can surface that. And if it's turning people away, Google has to say, never mind, this is not what people want. So we've got to find other stuff to elevate that for.
Exactly. Because, again, I think their goal is to promote the best answer for a query. And whether that's surfacing a local business or a resource page to learn more about a topic, is it transactional? Is it informational? And to do that, you need to make sure that the information, if you want to be surfaced, you need to make sure that your information is the best. And it's not something that is just pumped out of an AI generation. I mean, people are talking about it for blogs. No, you can use that as a basis, but then go in and personalize it. Page content, same thing. I've seen these things spew out some real true garbage. And I actually asked, it was pretty impressive. I actually had a LinkedIn post, and all I wanted was buttons that said, just say no. It created an entire, how hard is that, right? It created this great thing. And because my husband has some of them somewhere, he has a button from like the 80s or whatever that was with Nancy Reagan that says, just say no. And I said, can you find me one? No. Okay, fine. So I went in and I got this done. And it's like this whole thing of just say no buttons, of which only 2 are correct. There's got to be 100 of them in there. No, only 2 of them are correct. So
yeah,
you just cannot use AI to do this right now. You can use it to inspire you, but not to do the whole thing.
Well, let's say somebody's listening to this and they are concerned or have concerns about their listing and what it may or may not, whether it's healthy or not. Walk us through what audits look like and why those are so essential to us.
Okay. Audits are important because they do 2 things, or at least mine do. I look at suspendable elements. And I warn you of those if you're having issues, and also optimization. So it's 2 things. It's like protecting yourself and also enhancing your listing. So what I look at usually is I start with the title. If it's questionable, I will look you up. If you're in the U.S., I will look you up in your state's LLC. Usually, recently I haven't been because people have been very cool about it, but I will often do that. Then I look at your address. If your address is showing, I 100% of the time will go in and I will Google your address. And if your address does not stay within Google's guidelines, I will let you know because there's a number of reasons, but the biggest one is suspension. But and I will go through every element. I recently reformatted my reports so that I have a priority list of like 3 or 4 things that you should do first, be aware of first. But I literally have an entire page, and all it is over here I list every single element. Then I go from good to like, I won't say this, but where this is good, but you need to do this. Should add that. Take this out. And I don't know, it's like, I want to say there's like maybe 25 or 30 individual elements, and I go through each one. The reason why you would want to do this is you want to protect your listing, and you also want to learn about what areas should you be optimizing. Most people don't think that they can have products for services. At the moment, you still can. Who knows how long that's going to last, but that's something that I'll tell you other people like, oh, you can't do that. Me, I'll tell you, I've been doing it. I've been doing it for years. I've sat in rooms where people ask Googlers about this. For now, it's fine. But I go through all of that and I let you know because you need to protect yourself. A lot of businesses get more than, which is not good, but a lot of businesses get more than half their business from their Google listing. And you need to protect yourselves, especially if you live from this. I mean, some people, it is a side gig, but for other people, you live off this, other people live off it, and your first priority should be to protect it.
Yeah, I think that's really at the end of the day, why we should be paying more attention to this, because it is so incredibly valuable. Like you said, kind of for better or worse, it is where we are at least, right? It is the elephant in the room. It continues to drive over 50, 60% of our potential client contacts to us. If that's the case, we should be investing in it and making sure that it is as best as possible. And it's just one of those things where you find people and how people find you is where you need to be investing more as a business. Like that just is business sense of I getting the most of my ROI on this. So that needs to be the best possible outcome for me. And I need to invest more in that. So yeah,
100%. You have to protect yourselves because if you don't, nobody else will. And I will also say, just kind of as an aside to my comment, if you're getting, like 60% of your leads from Google, just remember, Google's an unstable platform. They will sometimes suspend you and they won't give you the reason why, other than something still vague. And so that's one of the biggest reasons why I think just make sure you're getting leads from multiple channels, right? Make sure you're doing social media. and I'm not a marketing person in this respect, but all I'm saying is you shouldn't be getting all of your leads from one channel, because if that one channel goes down, you're stuck. So just remember to vary your efforts, be active in, say, social media, in local groups. Maybe you volunteer, maybe you just, maybe you have a child in school. Just make sure that you're varying your channels, because you call them your funnels, I guess. Because if your Google goes down, it could be down for weeks. I have somebody currently right now who's enduring an attack, and they've been contacting Google, and Google's just not acting. So they will act. They just haven't done it yet. And nobody wants to be in that position.
No, not at all. That's terrifying. So have your ducks in a row. Amy, I really want to thank you for coming on, encouraging us to make sure that we go about doing things in the right way and that we have everything in order, and the critical importance of having that paperwork, having it set up correctly, and maintaining it so that it can be returning that investment back to us. I know that this continues to be a massive topic, and like you've said, this is always changing. So, Amy, how best can people get in touch with you, start learning more about this and digging deep into this topic for their business?
Excellent. Well, there's two ways, actually. Pet Sitter SEO on Facebook. You can contact me directly. I have my DMs open. I have my own account, which is Amy Toman, Toman, or Pet Sitter SEO, 3 words. And you reach me through those. I have a website. I have a form. I will tell you, yes, I know I need to update the website. Sorry, kids. If you don't hear back from me on the form within 24 hours, then you can nudge me on social. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm also on Blue Sky. But also the other place where I can also be found is I have a group with a friend of mine. We're doing this together. Erica from Godwin from Barketing. We now have a group which has really, really been great so far, called Digital Marketing. Oh, I always forget.
It was Digital Pack Leaders, right?
That's it. Because I need to have like the logo right in front of me. It's terrible. But we sit around the campfire a couple times a month, and we have conversations about marketing. So far, we had one recently about Google Ads, what they are, how to manage them, things like that, with a Google Ads expert, because neither Erica nor I are experts in that area. And we've talked about things like location pages, why to have them, what should be on them, how to optimize them, and different things like that. They're usually hour-long conversations, and you get a lot more depth to them. And we're just talking about how to optimize your business, usually via Google listings and the website. Erica builds websites, so she will it's really cool. She will have, say we're talking about a certain type of page, she will create one. And she will be like, here is a great example, which is funny because then I'm sure she then uses them for her business.
Yeah.
But she will also share them in the webinar, and she will also have that as like an attachment. So if you have she designs WordPress websites, but you can look at that and say, if you work on your own on, say, a Wix site, you can use that as an example of what has really been shown to work well. So this is a group. It's a subscription group. And we don't publish the videos on YouTube or anywhere else. The only way to see them is within the app. There's actually a mobile app, as you can also get it into it in desktop. And if anybody's interested, it's Digital Pack Leaders. I got that.
Yeah.
.com, or we're also on Facebook. And if anybody's interested, like I said, it's a monthly payment, but if you see one or two of the videos, you will really, there's always one. We record them and we tell people when we're going to record them. There's always one or two people who's just constantly sitting there like, oh, and she starts writing it down. And then, everything will be calm. And then you see her go, oh, wait, hold on, I love seeing that because that means that it was something that the person didn't know before, and having taken a note, they're going to see if they can go and implement that. So,
well, I'm really excited about this, Amy, because I think it's an area where we need to be learning more about, and because it's constantly changing, and many of us are coming in this with such a deficit of knowledge of best practices and how to do this. It's very complicated. So to see this come up and have you and Erica working together on this, it's really, really fun to see that. So I will have links to digitalpackleaders.com and to Pet Sitter SEO in the show notes and on our website so people can get connected and start checking both of those out. Amy, as always, an absolute immense pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing with us.
And thank you so much for the invitation. I know we've done this a couple times, but we've spread these out enough so that things are a little different as we move forward. Yeah. I will mention one more thing, just like a little bonus thing. Recently, yesterday or so, Google rolled out that you can add your texting or WhatsApp to your listing. Of course, I did that, and now it's gone. So keep an eye out. I did. I had my WhatsApp. My friend sent me a message. A few hours later, gone. Oh. Anyway, my point is, these things are things that we will be talking about in our group. I'll try to talk about them on Pet Sitter SEO, but you need to keep up on these, because if you don't and your competitors do, they're going to get the leg up on you. So just got to sign off with that. Keep an eye out for anything new in marketing. Sometimes it's really, really an easy thing to add in, and you can test. If it doesn't work for you, turn it off.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Amy. This has been fantastic. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah.
Take care, Colin. Nice talking to you again.
I always enjoy my conversations with Amy, but today when she said anyone can get a Google listing, few can keep it, it reminded me of just how particular some things are in business. It's easy to get started. Few can keep going. That's why the failure rate of most small businesses is so high. If it was easy, more people would continue to do it day after day and year after year. It was a reminder of the importance of having all of our ducks in a row, doing our research, vetting the process, going about it the right way. It's easy to get started, to cut corners, to cheat the system. But that always comes back to bite us in the end, which hurts us. It hurts our business, hurts our clients. If we have a team, it hurts them as well. Do things with integrity. Do things the right way for lasting success. We want to thank our friends for sponsoring today's episode at Time to Pet and the Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets YouTube channel. And we really want to thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll be back again soon.